My parents forged my signature to steal my $2 million settlement while I was in a coma. When I woke up, I pressed charges and they're now serving 15 years in prison. If you've ever felt something like this story, subscribe to stay close. And don't forget to say hi from wherever you are in the world. I should have known something was wrong when Mama insisted on driving me to work that Tuesday. "Baby girl, your car's making that noise again," she'd said, jangling her keys. I was 26, a medical assistant at Mercy General, and honestly, I loved my independence. But Mama was Mama. Diane Richardson, the woman who'd guilt-trip you into submission with one raised eyebrow. "All right, but I'm driving myself tomorrow," I told her, grabbing my purse. "The intersection of Malcolm X Boulevard and 5th Street. That's where my life split into before and after." I remember the screeching tires, Mama screaming my name, and then the semi-truck's grill filling my entire field of vision. They told me later that the truck driver had been texting. He ran a red light going 60 in a 35 zone. I don't remember the impact. Don't remember the sound of metal crushing or glass shattering. My last conscious memory is reaching for Mama's hand and thinking, stupidly, about the patient charts I'd left unfinished at work. What I didn't know, couldn't know, was that my father, Marcus Richardson, was already calculating. While the paramedics were cutting me out of our mangled Toyota, while my blood pressure was dropping and the EMTs were shouting codes, Daddy was on his phone with a lawyer. Not for me. For him. The accident left me with a traumatic brain injury for broken ribs, a shattered pelvis and a punctured lung. But the real damage, that came from the two people who were supposed to protect me while I couldn't protect myself. They told me I'd been in a coma for 93 days. 3 months. 13 weeks. When I finally opened my eyes in that hospital room, everything felt wrong. The fluorescent lights too bright, the sheets too starched, my body too heavy. I couldn't move my left arm. Couldn't feel my toes. "Baby. Oh Jesus, thank you." Mama rushed to my bedside, tears streaming down her face. She looked older. Grayer. "Marcus. Marcus, she's awake." Daddy appeared in the doorway and something flickered across his face before he smiled. Something I couldn't name then but would understand later. "Fear." "Hey, princess," he said softly. "Welcome back." The doctors came, did their tests, asked their questions. Dr. Chin, my neurologist, seemed genuinely amazed. "You're a fighter, Shayla. We weren't sure you'd wake up at all." My speech was slurred. My memories were Swiss cheese. They said I'd need months of physical therapy, maybe years to fully recover. But I was alive. That's what mattered, right? The settlement came through, Daddy mentioned casually 3 days after I'd regained consciousness. He was sitting in the visitor's chair, scrolling through his phone. The trucking company didn't want to go to trial. They offered $2 million. $2 million. The number didn't feel real. I could barely remember my own middle name and they were talking about money? "That's good," I managed to say. "It's real good, baby," Mama said, patting my hand. "Real good." I should have asked more questions. Should have wondered why they looked so nervous. The discharge nurse, Brenda, a black woman in her 50s with kind eyes and zero patience for nonsense, was the first person to make me suspicious. She came into my room on discharge day with a stack of papers, and I noticed her glancing between me and my parents with a strange expression. "Shayla, honey, do you understand what you're signing here?" she asked, pointing to a form. "It's just the discharge paperwork, Brenda," Mama interjected quickly. "She's still recovering. We've been handling everything." "I was talking to Shayla," Brenda said firmly. Her eyes met mine. "Baby, has anyone explained your medical bills to you? The insurance situation?" My head throbbed. Thinking was like walking through mud. No. The trucking company's insurance covered everything," Daddy said smoothly. "We made sure of it." Shayla doesn't need to worry about any of that. Brenda's jaw tightened, but she didn't say anything else. She just handed me a business card when my parents weren't looking. You call me if you need anything. Anything at all. At home. My parents' house in East Oakland, not my apartment downtown. Things felt off. My bedroom was the same, frozen in time like a shrine. But the house had new furniture. A massive flat-screen TV. Mama was wearing designer shoes I'd never seen before. Y'all redecorating? I asked one morning, 3 weeks post-discharge. Just treating ourselves a little, Mama said. Been a hard few months. That night I heard them arguing in the kitchen. I was supposed to be asleep, but insomnia was my new normal. Shouldn't have bought the Lexus, Daddy hissed. You bought a boat, Mama shot back. Don't talk to me about. Their voices dropped. I strained to hear. She doesn't remember. She won't remember. My best friend Tasha was the one who really set things in motion. She'd been calling and texting throughout my coma, Mama told me, but they'd kept her away, to let me heal in peace. The first time she actually got through to me 6 weeks after I woke up, she was crying. Shay, oh my God, Shay, I thought you were dead. Your mama kept saying you couldn't have visitors, that you weren't ready, but girl, it's been 6 months. I know, I said, my voice still weak. I'm sorry. I'm still recovering. I need to see you. Can I come over? I heard Mama's footsteps on the stairs. Let me call you back, I whispered. But Tasha showed up anyway the next day, storming past Mama at the door. When she saw me, 90 pounds lighter, walking with a cane, still struggling to form sentences, she burst into tears. What did they do to you? The accident, I started. No. Tasha grabbed my hand. Shay, what did they do to you? Why won't they let anyone see you? Your cousin Keisha tried to visit the hospital 4 times. They had her banned from the floor. That's not true, Mama said from the doorway. I was there, Mrs. Richardson. Don't lie to her face. The tension crackled like lightning. Tasha pulled out her phone. I need to show you something. Your lawyer's been trying to reach you for weeks. They keep calling me because nobody else can get through. What lawyer? The one handling your settlement. Mama moved fast for a woman her age, snatching the phone. Get out of my house. Mrs. Richardson. Now. After Tasha left, Daddy came home early from work. They both sat me down like I was a child. That girl's always been trouble, Mama said. Filling your head with nonsense. Physical therapy was hell, but it cleared my mind. Every day a little more fog lifted. My speech improved. My memories started knitting back together. And with clarity came questions. I started going through my old paperwork when my parents were at work. Daddy's construction job, Mama's shift at the salon. My hands still trembled and reading was exhausting, but I persisted. Bank statements. Medical bills. Legal documents. That's when I found the lockbox in the back of their closet. I shouldn't have been snooping, but something Tasha said kept nagging at me. They're hiding something. The lock was cheap. I broke it with a screwdriver from the garage. Inside, a copy of the settlement agreement. $2 million minus legal fees. $1.7 million net. Dated 3 weeks after my accident while I was still in a coma. And there at the bottom my signature. Neat. Perfect. Nothing like my actual scrawl. My hands went numb. The paper fluttered to the floor. They'd forged my signature. Forged it. While I was unconscious and fighting for my life, they'd stolen nearly $2 million. I found bank statements next. A new account in my name, one I'd never opened. Withdrawals. Transfers. A Lexus LS purchased for $68,000. A boat for $45,000. Cash withdrawals totaling hundreds of thousands. And then the gut punch. A wire transfer to my older brother, Devin. Devin, who I hadn't seen in 8 years. Devin, who'd stolen from Mama's purse when we were teenagers and gotten arrested for check fraud at 21. Devin, who Daddy always said was just going through a phase. They'd given him $300,000. I sat on their bedroom floor, surrounded by evidence of their betrayal, and felt something inside me that I'd never felt before toward my parents. Pure, crystalline hatred. The next document I found was a death certificate. My breath caught. LaToya Richardson. My baby sister. Dead at 19, 3 years before my accident. How had I forgotten LaToya? How had... Oh, wait. The memories crashed back like a wave. LaToya had died in a car accident. I'd been devastated. We all had. But Mama and Daddy, they'd received a settlement for that too. $400,000. I remembered because they'd bought their house with that money. Blood money, I'd called it, crying at LaToya's funeral. Money that couldn't bring her back. They'd done this before. Profited from their daughter's death. And now they were doing it again, except this time their daughter was alive to discover it. I took pictures of everything with my phone. Every document. Every bank statement. Every forged signature. My hands shook so badly that half the photos came out blurry, but I kept going. That night at dinner I looked at them differently. Mama serving baked chicken like she was Mother of the Year. Daddy talking about a job site like everything was normal. These strangers who'd raised me. These thieves. How's Devin doing? I asked casually. Daddy froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Devin. Yeah, my brother. Your son. Haven't heard from him in a while. He's fine, Mama said carefully. Living in Las Vegas. Why? Just wondering if that $300,000 helped him get started out there. The silence was deafening. Daddy's face went ashen. Mama's hand trembled, reaching for her water glass. What are you talking about? Mama whispered. I found the box. Daddy stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. You had no right going through our things. Our things. I stood too, wobbling on my still weak legs. You stole my money. Money that was supposed to help me recover from an accident that nearly killed me. We're your parents. Mama shouted. We've been taking care of you, feeding you, housing you. With my money. You forged my signature while I was in a coma. You don't understand, Daddy said, his voice dropping to that dangerous quiet he used when he was really angry. That money was compensation for our suffering too. Do you know what it was like watching you hooked up to those machines? Not knowing if you'd ever wake up. I laughed. Actually laughed. So you decided to make it worth your while? What was the plan if I died? Keep it all. Don't you dare, Mama hissed. After everything we've done for you. You mean after you've been embezzling from me for 6 months? The word embezzling made it real. Made it criminal. I watched the fear creep into their faces. Shayla, baby, listen. Daddy tried switching tactics. His voice went soft, pleading. We can fix this. We can transfer some money back. You're still recovering. You don't need to be stressed about finances. How much is left? Silence. How much is left? About 400,000, Mama admitted. They'd blown through $1.3 million in 6 months. Over $7,000 a day. I wanted to scream. Wanted to throw things. But instead I went cold. Get out, I said quietly. This is our house, Daddy said. Then I'll leave. And then I'll call the police. That got their attention. I left that night with 1 suitcase and my evidence, calling Tasha from the sidewalk. She picked me up within 20 minutes, no questions asked, just pulled me into her tiny Honda and drove me to her apartment in Berkeley. You can stay as long as you need, she said, setting me up on her couch. Now tell me everything. I did. Showed her the photos, the documents, everything. She listened with growing horror, her hand over her mouth. Shay, this is fraud. Like serious fraud. You need a lawyer. A real one. I know. I was exhausted. Every bone in my body ached. I don't even know where to start. Tasha grabbed her laptop. That lawyer who kept calling me, let me find his number. His name was James Chin, no relation to my doctor. A personal injury attorney who'd been trying to contact me for months about irregularities in my settlement. When I called him the next morning, he sounded relieved. Ms. Richardson, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. The settlement check was processed while you were incapacitated, and there were concerns about the signature authentication. It was forged, I said flatly. By my parents. I have proof. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. I need you to come to my office today. Right now if possible. And Ms. Richardson? Don't contact your parents. Don't tell them you've spoken to me. This is now a criminal matter. That word again. Criminal. My parents were criminals. Tasha drove me to Chen's office in downtown Oakland. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He reviewed my photos for 30 minutes straight, his expression growing darker. Finally, he looked up. I'm calling the DA. Detective Maria Santos specialized in financial crimes. She was a Latina woman with graying hair and the energy of someone who'd seen every scam imaginable. She came to Chen's office that same afternoon with a digital forensics specialist. Ms. Richardson, I'm not going to lie to you. This is one of the most clear-cut cases of fraud I've seen, she said after reviewing my evidence. The question is, how far do you want to take this? What do you mean? Your parents committed multiple felonies. Forgery, fraud, identity theft, financial exploitation of a dependent adult. You were incapacitated, which makes it worse. They could face serious prison time. But they're your parents. Some people in your situation choose restitution instead. Civil court, not criminal. I thought about LaToya. About how they'd profited from her death. About Devin getting $300,000 while I relearned how to walk. About Mama's designer shoes and Daddy's boat while I'd been lying in a coma, helpless. I want to press charges, I said. All of them. Chin touched my hand gently. Shayla, are you sure? This will destroy your family. They destroyed it first. Detective Santos nodded. All right. Here's what happens next. We'll execute search warrants on their home, their bank accounts, their vehicles. We'll interview everyone, your brother, their friends, anyone who might have known. This will be public. Are you prepared for that? I wasn't. Not really. But I nodded anyway. One more thing, Santos said. We'll need to verify the forgery officially. I'm bringing in a forensic document examiner. Can you provide a sample of your actual signature? I signed my name 5 times on 5 different pieces of paper. My hand still shook. My signature was messy, childlike compared to the elegant forgery they'd created. That'll work, she said softly. And Ms. Richardson? I'm sorry this happened to you. The warrants were executed at 6 a.m. on a Thursday, exactly 2 weeks after I'd found the lockbox. Tasha and I watched the news from her couch as reporters gathered outside my parents' house. I'd been warned this would be public, but seeing it was different. Detective Santos had advised me to stay away, but she called me when it was done. They're in custody. Both of them. We found additional evidence. More forged documents, records of them practicing your signature, text messages discussing how to handle your recovery to keep you dependent. That last part made me feel sick. Keep me dependent. They'd been planning this from the beginning. Your brother Devin is being picked up in Las Vegas as we speak, Santos continued. He received $300,000 knowing it was stolen. that makes him an accessory. My phone started ringing. Unknown numbers. News outlets. People from high school I hadn't talked to in years. Tasha helped me set up a new number and Chin released a brief statement. Ms. Richardson is focused on her recovery and has full confidence in the justice system. But recovery was impossible. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mama's face when I'd confronted her. Not guilty. Not ashamed. Angry. Angry that I'd caught her. My Aunt Claudia, Mama's sister, called Chen's office, somehow getting through. Tell Shayla she's destroying this family over money. Her own mother. Her mother forged legal documents and stole $1.3 million, Chen replied coolly, while her daughter was in a coma. Ma'am, if you contact my client again, I'll pursue a restraining order. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. Chen warned me it would be brutal. Your parents' defense attorney will try to paint you as ungrateful, vindictive. They'll talk about how they raised you, cared for you. Juries can be sympathetic to parents. Even criminal ones. Sometimes especially criminal ones. The black community in Oakland was split down the middle. Half the people understood, saw it for what it was, a clear-cut case of elder abuse in reverse. But the other half? They saw a daughter sending her parents to prison. You don't turn on family, my cousin Keisha told me when she finally got through on my new number. I don't care what they did. You find another way. They stole from me while I was dying, I said. And you're killing them by doing this. You know what prison does to black folks. You're sending your own parents to hell. I hung up. But her words haunted me. Was I doing the right thing? The settlement was supposed to compensate me for my injuries, my lost wages, my pain and suffering. Instead, it had gone to luxury cars and my criminal brother. Support came from unexpected places. Nurse Brenda, who'd given me her card at the hospital, reached out through Chin. I knew something was wrong. The way they controlled your information kept visitors away. I documented everything. I'll testify if you need me. Dr. Chin, my neurologist, also offered to testify. You were incapacitated. Completely unable to make legal decisions. Any document signed during that time should be invalid. I'll state that unequivocally. The forensic document examiner's report came back. The signature on the settlement documents bears no resemblance to Ms. Richardson's actual signature. It appears to be a careful forgery, likely practiced multiple times before execution. They'd practiced. My parents had sat at their kitchen table, practicing my signature like criminals planning a heist. Because that's what they were. Criminals. The day before the preliminary hearing, Daddy's lawyer called Chin with a plea deal offer. They'd return all remaining funds plus work out a payment plan for restitution in exchange for reduced charges. They want to avoid prison, Chin explained. This is a good offer, Shayla. You'd get your money back. What would they serve? Probably probation. Community service. Maybe a year in county jail at most. No. Shayla. They don't get to steal from me and walk away. No deal. The trial took 3 weeks. The prosecution laid out the evidence methodically. The forged signature, the bank records, the text messages between my parents discussing how to keep Shayla compliant during my recovery. They'd actively prevented me from accessing information about my own settlement, controlled my medications to keep me foggy, isolated me from friends who might have helped. It was worse than I'd thought. So much worse. The defense tried. God, did they try? They brought in childhood photos of me and Mama, videos of Daddy teaching me to ride a bike. They called neighbors who testified about what devoted parents they'd been. They painted me as bitter, confused, turning on the people who'd loved me most. They made mistakes, Daddy's lawyer said in closing arguments. But what parent wouldn't panic when their child is dying? They thought they were protecting her assets, managing them responsibly. By buying a boat? The prosecutor shot back. By giving $300,000 to a son with a criminal record? By forging legal documents and committing fraud. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. I sat in Chen's office, unable to be in the courtroom, barely breathing. Guilty. On all counts. Both of them. Devon took a plea deal, 3 years for his accessory role. He'd have to testify against our parents, which he did, admitting they told him the money was handled, but he didn't ask questions. Sentencing came 2 months later. The judge, a black woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Morris, looked at my parents with something between pity and disgust. You exploited your daughter's vulnerability for personal gain, she said. You violated every sacred trust between parent and child. 15 years in state prison. Each. Mama wailed. Actually wailed. Daddy just stared ahead, empty. I felt nothing. Just hollow. 2 years later, I'm writing this from my apartment in Berkeley. The one I bought with the settlement money after it was fully recovered and properly distributed. It's small but mine. Paid in full. Physical therapy took 18 months, but I walk without a cane now. I went back to school, nursing this time, not just medical assisting. I'm in my 2nd year. I'm good at it. Mama writes me letters from prison. I don't read them. Daddy doesn't write at all. Devon gets out in a year. I don't plan to have a relationship with any of them. People ask if I regret it. The answer is complicated. I regret that it happened. Regret that my parents were people who could do that to their own child. But pressing charges? Well, I don't regret that. Tasha is still my best friend. She threw me a new life party when I moved into my apartment. Just the 2 of us, pizza and cheap wine. You did it, she said, raising her glass. You survived them. I survived a lot of things. A truck running a red light. A coma. Medical trauma. And my parents' betrayal. The last one hurt worse than all the others combined. Some nights I still dream about waking up in that hospital room, seeing Mama's tears, believing they were real. I dream about the family I thought I had before I found that lockbox. But then I wake up in my apartment, in my bed, in my life, and I remember. I'm free. The settlement was supposed to compensate me for my suffering. In the end it did, just not in the way anyone expected. It bought me the truth. It bought me freedom from people who saw me as an asset rather than a daughter. And it bought me this. The knowledge that I'm strong enough to choose myself even when choosing myself means losing everyone else. 15 years. They'll be old when they get out. I'll be 43. Maybe I'll feel differently then. Maybe I'll have forgiven them. But probably not. And that's okay.